Boxing has always been about grit, discipline, and lifelong dedication. A sport where legends are forged through years of sweat, sacrifice, and relentless pursuit of greatness. For decades, the path to the ring was clear. You started young, paid your dues, and earned your respect the hard way. But all of that changed when Jake Paul crashed the party, shaking up the very foundation of the sport. He wasn't a product of the gym, but of the internet, a Disney star turned viral provocateur, who built his fame on pranks, controversy, and millions of loyal followers. His leap from YouTube to the ring was met with scorn from boxing purists, dismissed as a gimmick, a sideshow, an insult to the sport's proud tradition. Yet, Paul's journey was impossible to ignore. He brought a tidal wave of attention, drawing headlines and sparking debates everywhere he went. He turned every fight into a spectacle, drawing in a new, younger audience that boxing desperately needed. Suddenly, arenas were filled with fans who had never watched a fight before. His early opponents, YouTubers, ex-athletes, retired MMA fighters, didn't win him respect among the old guard, but each win fueled his confidence and sharpened his skills. He was learning in public, under the brightest lights. He trained hard, learned fast, and forced the boxing world to pay attention. Behind the scenes, he was putting in real work, surprising even his harshest critics with his dedication. Paul and Most Valuable Promotions mastered the art of hype, creating rivalries and content that kept fans hooked. They understood the power of social media, turning every press conference and call-out into must-see entertainment. He was brash, loud, and polarizing, but he sold tickets and brought fresh energy to a fading sport. Love him or hate him, you couldn't look away. Soon, he was headlining major events, not just sideshows. The world watched as he stepped into the spotlight, proving he was more than just an internet sensation. His fights became cultural moments, blurring the line between sport and entertainment. Each bout was an event, a trending topic, a spectacle that brought people together. The question shifted, not if he was a boxer, but how far this experiment could go. Could he really change the game, or would the old guard shut him out? Could a vlogger truly compete with the elite? Was this the future of boxing, or just a passing fad? Paul's rise was a testament to the power and controversy of modern celebrity. In a world where fame can open any door, Jake Paul forced boxing to evolve, whether it wanted to or not. The fight against Anthony Joshua was billed as Jake Paul's ultimate test. Joshua, a two-time unified heavyweight champion and Olympic gold medalist, was no influencer. He was the real deal. The bout at Miami's Kaseya Center, streamed globally on Netflix, was a true professional contest. Joshua, usually composed, promised to expose Paul as a fraud and defend boxing's honor. For Paul, this was the moment of truth. A win would silence doubters, a loss would confirm his limits. The stakes were massive, not just for his record, but for his entire brand. The arena buzzed with energy, packed with boxing fans, celebrities, and Paul's loyal followers. Social media exploded with predictions and trash talk. Even the undercard had influencer flair, making the event a modern circus around an ancient sport. The main event promised a definitive answer to Paul's place in boxing. From the opening bell, Paul surprised everyone with a cautious, evasive style, circling, jabbing, and refusing to engage. He hoped to frustrate Joshua and drag the fight into deep waters, banking on stamina over power. The Miami crowd grew restless, booing as the action stalled. Fans wanted fireworks, not a tactical chess match. Paul's survival strategy clashed with his entertainer image, and the audience turned on him. Joshua stayed patient, stalking Paul, cutting off the ring, and probing with heavy jabs. He controlled the pace, forcing Paul to burn energy on defense. Through 4 rounds, Joshua's aggression and ring generalship dominated. The boos grew louder. Paul was surviving, but not impressing. The spectacle had become a tense, strategic affair, testing the patience of everyone watching. As the bell rang for round 5, the tension in the arena was palpable. Paul, still relying on his movement and footwork, circled the ring, trying to stay out of Joshua's range. But Joshua's relentless pressure was beginning to close the distance, and the crowd could sense a shift in momentum. Joshua had spent the earlier rounds carefully studying Paul's patterns, watching for the slightest opening, reading his opponent's rhythm, and setting subtle traps with clever feints and perfectly timed steps. About a minute into the round, Joshua executed a masterful feint to the body, drawing Paul's guard down just enough. In a flash, he unleashed a devastating right hand that crashed into Paul's chin, sending shockwaves through the arena. Paul hit the canvas hard, his first knockdown of the fight. The crowd erupted in a roar, sensing that the fight's dynamic had changed in an instant. Dazed but showing remarkable heart, Paul managed to beat the referee's count. He rose to his feet, but his legs were unsteady, and Joshua could see the opportunity in front of him. Sensing his moment, Joshua pressed forward with a relentless barrage of punches. He landed a heavy left hook, followed by another thunderous right hand, sending Paul crashing to the canvas for a second time in the round. The end seemed inevitable, but Paul's grit and determination kept him upright. He clung to the ropes, weathering the storm as the seconds ticked away. When the bell finally sounded, Paul staggered to his corner, battered, shaken, and gasping for breath, his team rushing to support him. The brutal reality of heavyweight boxing was on full display, both men marked by the battle, but Paul clearly worse for wear. Paul's evasive strategy had finally failed him. He was now trapped in a firefight, forced to trade blows with a stronger, fresher opponent. The momentum had shifted decisively in Joshua's favor, and the energy in the arena reflected the dramatic turn of events. Joshua's combination of power, patience, and tactical intelligence had finally broken through Paul's defenses. Paul had survived the round, but just barely. His spirit tested, his body battered, and the outcome of the fight now hanging by a thread. The sixth round began with Paul on shaky legs, determination etched on his battered face. He knew he was in deep waters, but he refused to back down, his eyes locked on Joshua as the bell rang. The atmosphere was electric, every fan in the arena sensing that something dramatic was about to unfold. Joshua, calm and confident, wasted no time. He cut off the ring and pressed forward. His footwork was precise, trapping Paul against the ropes and leaving him with nowhere to escape. Every movement was calculated, a champion's poise on full display. Paul tried to clinch, but Joshua shrugged him off, setting up his final assault. Paul's attempts to buy time only fueled Joshua's aggression, and the tension in the ring was palpable. The crowd sensed the end and rose to their feet. Every eye was glued to the ring, the noise swelling as anticipation reached its peak. Joshua landed a thunderous right hand, lifting Paul off his feet and sending him crashing to the canvas. The punch echoed through the arena, a moment frozen in time, as fans gasped at the sheer force behind it. The referee waved it off instantly, no count needed. It was clear Paul was in no condition to continue, and safety took priority. The Kaseya Center exploded in approval, but concern for Paul was immediate. Cheers mixed with anxious glances as everyone waited for signs of movement from the fallen fighter. Medical staff rushed in as Joshua's celebration paused. The gravity of the moment settled over the ring, a reminder of the risks every fighter takes. The knockout was a brutal reminder of boxing's dangers. Even the most skilled can fall victim to a single, perfectly timed punch. For purists, it was vindication. Skill and power had triumphed over hype. Joshua's technique and experience had made the difference, silencing doubters in spectacular fashion. Joshua had delivered a statement, ending the Jake Paul experiment, at least for now. His victory was decisive, a message to anyone questioning his place at the top. The influencer's dream had met a harsh reality, and the world of boxing had once again shown just how unforgiving it can be. After the knockout, concern replaced celebration as Paul lay on the canvas, clutching his jaw. Medical reports soon confirmed a suspected broken jaw, a painful, humbling injury. This loss was more than a blemish, it shattered Paul's invincible persona. In his post-fight interview, Paul was subdued, giving full credit to Joshua. The bravado was gone, replaced by respect and humility. Critics declared the influencer era over, celebrating the "I told you so" moment. Memes and clips of the knockout went viral, fueling the backlash. Yet, some fighters praised Paul's courage for stepping in with a killer like Joshua. He'd lost decisively, but he hadn't backed down. The question now, would Paul retreat to YouTube or seek redemption in the ring? To understand Paul's journey, rewind to his infamous 2024 fight with Mike Tyson. Tyson, 58, was a legend, decades past his prime but still a draw. The fight's announcement sparked outrage. Was it sport, nostalgia, or exploitation? Tyson showed flashes of his old self, but age caught up. Paul controlled the pace. Paul won by decision, but the victory felt hollow. He'd outlasted an icon, not beaten a prime fighter. The backlash was fierce, with many calling it a cynical move to pad Paul's record. Yet, the spectacle made a fight with Joshua possible, cementing Paul's role as boxing's ultimate villain. The Tyson bout defined Paul's career and set the stage for his biggest test. Even after losing to Paul, Tyson never let go of the defeat. He called for a rematch, convinced he could change the outcome with better preparation. After Paul's loss to Joshua, most expected Tyson to move on, but his desire only grew. Tyson saw a humbled, beatable Paul and a chance to reclaim his legacy. Pride and business both fueled Tyson's pursuit. The first fight was a financial blockbuster, and a rematch promised even more. Critics called it dangerous. Paul was injured, Tyson was older, and the risks were real. Still, the narrative was irresistible. A fallen legend seeking redemption, a humbled influencer seeking a comeback. The story practically wrote itself. Tyson's persistence kept the rivalry alive. The prospect of Tyson-Paul 2 loomed, controversial but compelling. In boxing, spectacle often wins out over caution. Jake-Paul's saga, from Tyson to Joshua, has forced boxing to confront its identity. Social media and branding now rival skill and belts in creating stars. The influencer era brought new fans and money, but also questions about the sport's integrity. Paul's loss to Joshua was a reality check. His next move is uncertain. He could return to celebrity bouts or double down on training for a comeback. A Tyson rematch offers high stakes and controversy. Tyson's continued fighting pushes the limits of what's acceptable. As long as fans pay, these spectacles will continue. Boxing and social media celebrity are now intertwined, shaping the sport's future, for better or worse.